The top of the hour, Adam Tweed, and it's time for This Day in History, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
About ready for that?
Yes, I am.
Great.
All right. On this day in history, and the date, in case you haven't looked, is June 20th. June 20th, 2018. And on this day, boy, this was a busy day in history. All right. On this day in history, June 20th of the year 451, Roman and barbarian warriors halt Attila's army at the Catalonian plains in eastern France. In 1756, nearly 150 British soldiers are imprisoned in the black hole cell of Calcutta. Most die. 1793, Eli Whitney applies for the cotton gin patent. On this day in 1837, 18-year-old Victoria is crowned Queen of England. On this day in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln admits West Virginia into the Union as the 35th state. June 20th, 1898, on the way to the Philippines to fight the Spanish, the U.S. Navy seizes the island of Guam. In 1920, race riots in Chicago, Illinois, leave 2 dead and many wounded. 1923, France announces it will seize the Rhineland to assist Germany in paying her war debts. On this day in 1941, June 20th, the U.S. Army Air Force is established, replacing the Army Air Corps. It wasn't until 1947 they became the United States Air Force, but not on this day, just a little side note. In 1963, the United States and the Soviet Union agreed to establish a hotline between Washington and Moscow. January 20th, 1964, General William Westmoreland succeeds General Paul Harkins as head of the U.S. forces in Vietnam. In 1967, boxing champion Muhammad Ali is convicted of refusing induction into the American Armed Forces. In 1972, President Richard Nixon names General Creighton Abrams as Chief of Staff of the United States Army, and 1999, NATO declares an official end to its bombing campaign of Yugoslavia. Born on June 20th is 1858, Charles Chestnut, African-American novelist. 1887, Kurt Schwitters, German artist. In 1899, Jean Moulin, French resistance fighter during World War II. Born on this date in 1909, Errol Flynn, film actor, The Adventures of Robin Hood and Captain Blood, and many others. In 1910, Chester Arthur Burnett was born, a blues singer. In 1910, Josephine Johnson, Pulitzer Prize-winning author, was born and she wrote Jordanstown and Wildwood. If Les Paul was here, he would appreciate this one. Les Paul, 1958, was in the chat room. Born on June 20th, 1924, Chet Atkins, guitarist. And born January 20th in 1924, from Greensville, Texas, Audie Murphy, American soldier and film actor, the most highly decorated soldier of World War II, was born. Now, flipping over to the headlines for this day in history. On June 20th, 1893, in the case of the murder of her father, Andrew Jackson Borden, and her stepmother, Abby Borden, despite incriminating circumstances, but with no murder weapon found and no blood evidence found, a jury in New Bedford, Massachusetts, found Lizzie Borden innocent of the axe murders of her father and stepmother. The case is best remembered by the popular jump rope rhyme, Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks, and when she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. On this day in 1929, exchanges of gunfire on the Detroit River between rum runners and federal agents ended with federal agents using machine guns to sink the smugglers' vessel. French boats are anchored off the coast outside of U.S. jurisdiction, and the rum runners are going between shore and the ships anchored offshore carrying cases of rum. On this day in 1977, crude oil from North Alaska began flowing south down the Trans-Alaska Pipeline to the ice-free port of Valdez, Alaska. And on this date in 2008, thousands of protesters gathered in Thailand's capital, Bangkok, to protest the current government. The protesters demand that the current government step down and claim that the government was only a proxy for a former leader that was ousted in 2006 by the military. And that about wraps up today's edition, and it is June 20th. Today's edition of This Day in History. Back to you, She7. Oh, one more. June 20th, 1975. The summer blockbuster movie Jaws is released about a great white shark attacking swimmers at Amity Island, a fictional summer resort town. Okay, there you go, She7. That's the wrap up.
Great.